hotel rent a car there. But there was
Yeah,
no security. There was no police or anything. Then after like they dispersed and they trashed the whole place, then they show a picture of police with riot gear surrounded, like a barrier of them surrounding the whole entrance. Like that's not really like useful whenever it's all done. Like too little, too late.
that probably made it worse. That probably
Everyone,
made it worse. But yeah, I don't. I think we should get back to this whole thing because I want to tie up other issues.
Some other loose ends.
And
Yeah.
yeah, but before we get stuck on this, we should just talk about the league, some of the games going on, and
Yeah. Yeah, we had things kick off Thursday night. Atlas ended up losing to Mazatlan. Yeah, 2-1. Julio Furch scored the only goal for Atlas, but then he ended up getting red carded. Gonzalo Sosa ends up being the man of the match for Mazatlan. After that, we had Necaxa beat San Luis 4-2. A lot of goals in that game. And
that's Jimmy Lozano's team.
That's Jimmy Lozano.
He was the bronze winner with the under 23 at the Olympics. Some people were calling him for the selección. And this is his, he's getting his shot at with Necaxa, and he seems to be doing pretty good.
Yeah, Necaxa are right behind Chivas, so 12th position, 17 points. San Luis, on the other hand, 17 points as well. 13 positions, so Chivas, Necaxa, and San Luis tied on points. We had...
three-way tie.
I don't know if we want to talk about Juarez and Tuca Ferretti, but boy, oh boy.
Of course we want to talk about it.
They are continuing this downward spiral. I think that's 7 straight losses for them. They lost to Pachuca 2-1. And dead last, 8 points. And things are not looking good for them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And we've talked about why it's unlikely Tuca will get sacked. He was, he came in as a favor to one of the, I don't know if he's a president or part owner who used to be at Tigres. And they're trying to lift this team off the ground, and things aren't looking so good. And it sucks because this guy's about to retire. Well, at least he had talked about it. And I think he had like good opportunities to have left, had left the top. We talked about right after the club's World Cup. He had a shot of taking over the selección, although this was further back. I guess he chose Juarez, man. So who knows, man? That he might have that itch and be like, not like this,
Yeah, with that victory, Pachuca stay on top of Tigres right there. They're neck and neck, 32 points, second position. Very, very similar as far as output. Both Tigres and Pachuca have won 10 games. They've drawn twice, lost twice. Tigres have 29 goals in favor, and that's why they're in first place because of the goal differential. But those are the two hottest teams as of right meow.
Yeah, and it's Piojo, and Piojo took over because, that was Tuca's job, dude. That's the dream job right now. If you were at Tigres, get paid good money, have access to all the best players. And I think Piojo, because I wanted him to go abroad. I think of a few Mexicans that could go abroad. I think he was one that could go and succeed. And he stayed home, but I can't blame him, man. That's a sweet job to have, and I think if he maintains the way he is, I could see him being there, for a long for stay there in a couple years. Unless the selección, I always think he's always gonna be, you know, because he had a good run with the selección despite the way he was fired and the whole media how they turned on him and they made him seem like a bad coach. He went from savior to villain. As like the Batman quote. You
Yeah.
remember it, Jaime? Something
See
long enough
yourself to stay the hero or stay long enough to become
yeah,
the
we butchered that.
yeah,
But the
whatever.
second part, you gotta like, he stayed long enough. That seems to happen with the selección all the time, man. We eventually turn villain, whoever is coaching the team, even if they're not doing bad. I mean, because
And your
Piojo
mic
was.
is crackling.
What happened?
Your mic's rubbing.
Yeah. Mine?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. It's like next to mine. Okay, there it is. Um, yeah, dude. He had just won the Gold Cup, and yeah, people didn't seem to care, man. They were just on him. Um,
I don't know,
but yeah,
man.
good for Piojo, man.
I think you're giving Piojo too much credit. This is a stacked Tigres team, one of the best teams in the league, and I feel like even Michel Leaño could be having these kind of results with Tigres.
I don't know, man.
Hey, that's what I've been saying all along with Chivas. People going crazy.
What's that?
That's what I've been saying all along with Chivas and Mexican coaches and foreign coaches and all these beefs. That's the same thing. That's my whole point the whole time. The coaches aren't the ones scoring goals.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it.
I think this team has been together for quite some time. Now, don't get me wrong; they have added Sebastian Cordova, who was getting a lot of criticism. He left America kind of with his tail between his legs. It sounded like he was going to go to Chivas, to trade for Antuna. He ends up snubbing us and going to Tigres because he wanted to go to the playoffs and win titles, and he wasn't going to do that at Chivas. And he just really hadn't come out, but he was arguably the man of the match yesterday, and now they're all starting to praise him again. Same thing with Florin Tauvin. Everyone's like, hey, man, this guy's a World Cup winner. Where the hell is he? He hasn't been showing up, and, I feel like they've had sort of like a late start, but this is a stacked Tigres team, and let's be honest, who's really calling the shots, I think, is Gignac.
So you think Piojo just hands out the Gatorades?
I think he's a cheerleader with no neck, and he knows how to position the team. But at the end of the day, like Chiqui says, he's not over there scoring hat tricks. And at the end of the day, bro, this team could probably manage itself because they're very veteran. It's not like they're young, and they need direction. I think they just know what they're doing.
True, but I mean, with any team, eventually you have the players age out, and then you bring in a new squad, and you want to be able to transition that. And I think we're gonna see that soon with some of these guys. Gignac's what, like 35?
I'll look it up right now, but he's up there.
Yeah.
36, about to be 37 in December.
Man, still scoring hat tricks.
I mean, this league is old. You have Sambuesa still playing. You have Talavera still playing. You have
goalkeepers, yeah.
You have players that are, they're pushing almost 40, and they're still players. They're still contenders in their respective clubs. I don't see Gignac retiring anytime soon.
I'll give him to like 38.
We had Tijuana lose at home to America. And this one hurts to say, but Alejandro Zendejas scored one of the goals. He was a Chiva. In fact, he was forced to give up his call up to the United States in order to join Chivas because he's a dual citizenship. Chivas don't really end up using him, and he gets either loaned out or sold to Necaxa. And then from there, he's joined America and good for him. He scored, and with that victory, America are in 8th position with 19 points.
Yeah, big comeback for them. They went from one of their worst seasons ever to they could potentially qualify directly. I mean, not yet. I think you have to be top four, but they're making a strong push to uh, to finish that high.
Yeah, the 4th position is 22 points, so one victory and you can leapfrog your way to it. Seems kind of crazy, that's just the Mexican league. You had America again, slow start, but you start to string a few wins together, and all of a sudden, you're a contender. That's just how it is. And that's why it's always important, and I stress this. Like, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Doesn't matter how bad your regular season is. As long as you can get to a wild card or a playoff, that's a different ball game.
That's what I was looking at. Like I was looking at table the other day. I think Chivas is 11th. They were like 15th or something, but they were 4 points away from 8th spot.
Yeah.
This is like Friday, and so like man, everyone's pretty much in qualification for winning the title. Like the 15th spot could actually win a title.
Yeah.
You could be in 15 all of a sudden, and then
because
win a couple of games,
yeah,
get in the playoffs, and win a title.
the 15th position is Tijuana with 16 points. That's only one more point than the team that's in 12th. It's like you literally can go on the last game of the season. You can go from 15 to playoffs, baby.
That's that's why for me, I've always felt the league championship should be on points, and then if they want to do playoffs, that's like a that could be like the cup tournament, and then all the teams that qualify they play for that cup tournament. Um, so I think, and we didn't talk about this, Jaime. I think Liga MX got rid of Copa MX again.
Did they get rid of it? Because I know it was like on hold, but I don't know I know with like COVID and teams running out of money and getting Liga Expansión and Liga Premier, there's like, yeah, it seemed like the Copa
It's an
MX was put on.
indefinite hold.
I see. But I will say though, the complaints did get to the FMF, so unfortunately, the away goal rule is no longer, so there is an incentive to finish higher in the table, not just the home field advantage, but if a game does end in a draw, it will go to the higher seed instead of going to overtime and potentially going to penalties. So there is an incentive for teams to not just waltz into Liga in the 12 seed, 11 seed, 10 seed. There is an advantage to be in the higher, mid pack. We had León and Puebla. A lot of red cards in that match. A lot of red cards this weekend, actually. But Puebla ended up winning, and Larcamón continuing to have a solid campaign. They're right there in 3rd place with 26 points. Is he the flavor of the season, or is this guy for real?
He is. I mean, he's been having really good results, so that's why. But he has yet to win anything. So I think ultimately he's gonna have to.
I don't see that happening for him at Puebla, but if you can take a team like Puebla and make them
You never
relevant.
know, dude. I mean, Atlas won.
True. But I do feel like Atlas are under the ownership of Grupo Orlegui, and they have proven that they can win championships. Puebla, are they Azteca or who owns them?
Yeah, Azteca.
Yeah,
Well, no, Azteca doesn't own them, but they like.
they have like a stake in the team or what?
Yeah, they manage that.
Mm-hmm.
They have like
Yeah. Here's a fun fact or pro tip. The YouTube channel for TV Azteca, they, I don't know how they keep getting away with this, but they are streaming games live from Mexico. And I've been able to watch them. there's no like geo like restrictions. Like it's weird. So I've been watching a lot of the Azteca broadcasts, and um, I don't know if they're doing it intentionally because they do sometimes broadcast Chivas games in Mexico under Azteca, but they do have an exclusive deal here with Telemundo in the United States. So nobody is supposed to be able to like watch a Chivas game here in the States unless it's a NBC, Telemundo broadcast. But they've sort of been doing it under the table. So yeah, curious to see how that pans out. But for now, I've been enjoying it. I'm subscribed to their YouTube channel, and yeah, they just broadcasted games live.
Is that with Martinoli?
Yeah, he's on there. Campos is on there sometimes. Yeah,
Garcia.
I'm hoping that they
That's
keep
a
it.
good.
I hope they keep it going for May. Because Canel's gonna fight, and I would love to watch that one for free with the Mexican commentary. Moving along here with Santos Queretaro 1-1 yesterday, and Santos are currently in 14th position with 17 points. Querétaro's a little bit further down with 13 in the 16th spot. So not much going on for these clubs, but again, with only 3 matches left in the regular season, a lot can happen, a lot can change, and Santos still have a chance of making it. I mean, this was where Chivas were last week, so a lot can happen in 1 week, and definitely don't sleep on Santos. For some reason, they're just good at Liguilla. And the most
Yeah,
dramatic.
that was group.
Go
That
ahead.
was Group Orlegi's original team. They seem to have taken a back seat since they took over Atlas.
We had the
I
most.
think they shipped some players over to Puebla, didn't they?
Furch. No, not to Puebla, to Atlas.
Yeah.
Wait, they could have because
Over to Atlas, yeah. That's right.
No, yeah, I'm getting confused. I was thinking
The
Azteca. That
Grupo
would have
like
been Atlas and Puebla, not.
not Puebla, not Puebla. I meant Santos shipped some players over to Atlas.
Yeah,
They're sort
that's.
of like they've had a good core of players for a long time, and I think we've talked about like their process and how they may not spend as much as others as far as players,
But they get results.
but they have like they have a good
Yeah.
program to get results eventually. Like instead of the 10-year comment for Chivas, I think it's been like 3 or 5 years maybe for Santos.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, they've had
So
success.
downhill. They're on a downhill. They gotta rebuild.
We'll get to that in a minute after the most dramatic match I think of the season or of the Jornada. I'll let the soundbite do the talking for me. Washington Corozo. I don't even know who he was until this match. But in dramatic fashion, Pumas end up scoring twice in stoppage time, both by Washington Corozo. What can you tell us about this guy, Chiquis?
He's been pretty good. So like the main like him and Dineno are like sort of like their target strikers. They get the ball and they score. But I've been liking the two. He's Ecuadorian, right? They have two Brazilians also, Rogerio and what's his name? Diogo. Those two Brazilians, man, they've been like legit for a while this whole season. And plus, Dineno was, he was doing really well. And then now with Corozo coming on, like they're pretty powerful offensively. And then Alamosa's always good with the passes and stuff. And the defense holds up. They even have Pocho that sort of like shows up every now and then. I forget his name.
The youngster, right? He scored a goal. He's like 18 or something.
I think he scored once or twice, maybe. But yeah, they've got, like I said, they've gotten the dollar. Actually, like if you go to Dollar Tree, um, inflation, man, inflation. It's no longer Dollar Tree. It's like $1.35 tree. So Pumas have to pay a little bit more for their players, but they got some good gems here. So this team's looking legit, and we'll see what happens next with the CONCACAF.
They be pulling them out of the bargain bin, man. They had that guy from Panama. I don't know if he's still with the team, but again, you look at their trajectory. They play in South America. Never heard of them before. This guy, Washington Brian Corosco Becerra, he started his career at Independiente del Valle, and then he went to Sporting Cristal. And from there, Pumas kind of just found him, discovered him, and yeah, he's from Ecuador and hero of La Jornada. That's a big victory for Pumas. And
on one thing though, like this is typical of on this game. This is typical of soccer. So they scored the first goal, which was pretty legit. Like a nice pass to him, and he beat the defense, and he scored the goal. But then the second one, I was counting the player. Like I don't have it up anymore. I think there was like 9 players in the box for Monterrey.
yeah, they went all out. They went all out because it was in stoppage.
And then there was just like one dude,
Yeah.
and so they were going for the tie, but they ended up. I mean, go for it, right? You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose.
Yeah, Rayados put all the carne en el asador, and they got exploited on a counterattack because, they had no defense, and he basically walked it into the back of the goal. But, man, Pumas had a really good week. That victory over Cruz Azul in the Conca Champions League, and now you guys face Seattle in the final. And we've been curious, man, the tradition has been going on for 16 consecutive years. Will it be another year of Mexican dominance in this Champions League, or is Seattle Sounders going to finally be the team that wins it for the MLS and starts closing this gap?
Jaime, I'm gonna have to eat some crow because I said Pumas would be if they reach the final, they'll be the easiest of the teams. But man, the garra that they're showing, it's impressive, man. And so I think they got what it takes. Uh, but I do Sounders, man. Ruidas,
Yep.
he's a really good player, and Loidero. They got some good players too that shouldn't be overlooked. That's the one player I didn't want to see leave Liga MX. I thought he would have been tearing it up, and I felt he could have ended up in a bigger team because he was at Morelia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But I think he would have. I thought he would have been like at America, perhaps.
Yeah.
So it surprised me when he made the jump.
Absolutely.
They got Jordan Morris also on that team. He's got some speed. He was hyped early on, but then he sort of fizzled out. I think he was on the national.
There's a few.
But
There's
yeah,
Christian Roldan. He's part of the United States as well, the U.S. men's national team.
There's 2 Roldans, I see.
He has a brother that's not as good. Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like this happens every single season. You have this MLS team that everyone starts like hyping up, like, oh, trust me. It happened to Chivas. Chivas had to beat Seattle to get to the final. When they went to Conca Champions, and then same thing with Toronto. They're like, oh, Toronto's gonna be, they're way better than Chivas, and then Chivas end up winning, and I feel like it's always the same story. Like, everyone's trying to make this Seattle team out to be bigger than they actually are. The reality is, there's a reason why Mexico's dominated for 16 consecutive years. I think at the end of the day, it comes to experience, and I don't think they have that much experience. And I think that's where Pumas have the advantage.
And looking at the this iteration of CONCACAF, Mexico just had. I mean, Mexico had Pumas, León, Cruz Azul, and Santos. Like it seems like this lineup of Mexican teams wasn't like the best, but because before you'd have like Chivas or a Tigres or America, but yeah, Pumas. My prediction is Pumas is gonna win.
Okay, okay.
The first leg is in Mexico City, and the second one is in Seattle, right? Is this how this looks?
I think you're correct.
Okay. Yeah, it is Lumen Field. So that brings some interesting aspects to it. Is Puma's going to be able to take it to them on the second leg away? Normally, like in the past, always like okay, the Mexican team might or will tie or lose um, in the U.S., but then in Mexico would take it home easily. So the first leg is going to be important. Pumas is going to have to win by a few goals.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that everyone had ruled some of these teams out. You look at, was it New England when you guys played New England? You guys lost in the cold 3-0, and then you guys end up closing at home and forcing this game to penalties, and that's where you guys won. So I think for this match, you guys aren't going to have that luxury. You're going to have to, be strong at home. And let's be honest, I think going to La Ciudad de Mexico is a little bit more intimidating than it is going to Seattle and dealing with that one Seattle fan. I don't know if you guys remember him.
Oh yeah, that dude's intimidating. But he got trained. He went to he would go to England. He'd take travel trips to England, Europe, and that's where he would learn his art and become a master. Yeah,
I think
yeah, because
there's this stat that favors the teams that close at home. It's like I think it was for Libertadores. I think 60%, 60%, 60% of the time they win all the time, something like that. And I do think that could be a factor.
that song after that fight and win that got in my head for like a long time ago for the longest. It was like Seattle, here we go, here we go, here we go.
Oh man, you can just come out now out of the closet and say you're an MLS fan, bro. It's all good.
That dude disappeared. Like he used to be on LinkedIn and stuff.
LinkedIn.
People are making like he had some job and stuff, but he was hilarious.
Really quickly, I'm gonna go to the chats. A big shout out to Marseille because when we started the episode, he said that he couldn't hear anything, so I fixed the sound very early in the episode. So thank you for helping us out there. And of course, we have our number one fan, Ricardo. He's back. Ricardo, we apologize for it wasn't the last episode, but the episode before that. You were on the YouTube chat. I forgot to check, and you were just blowing us up. So welcome back, Ricardo. He's saying, hello, gentlemen. Cruz Azul got robbed by Chivas. Clear hand arm ball. Pumas is going to break Seattle's heart by penalties, calling it now. And he also says that Marcelo Michel Menotti is still pulling the strings at Chivas. Thank you, Ricardo, for your comments. Well, we got a hot topic for tonight. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory or coincidence or what's going on with the universe, but obviously with Michele Año's departure, we're already talking about the possibility of somebody, a special somebody, returning to Chivas. That special somebody had an exclusive interview with ESPN Deportes. His name's Matias Almeida. What's interesting, though, is Matias Almeida, leading up to this interview, had declined to do a press conference for the Earthquakes. He did it twice in a row. Yesterday, they ended up having a bad game, and one of the fans at halftime said something to Matias Almeida and started calling him a lot of names, and it got to Matias's head. In the end of the game, he decided not to do a press conference, and the speculation is that he's going to hand in his resignation, or maybe he already did. And tomorrow we'll find out the details. But he had an interview with David Faikeson, and he basically, admitted that he wants to coach Chivas again, that he's a fan, he's an hincha of Chivas, that he has a solid relationship with Amaury Vergara, and that he doesn't personally know Peláez, but Peláez, the only communication he had with him was in 2018 when he was still at Cruz Azul. He was trying to get him to coach Cruz Azul. So a lot of drama, a lot of novelas. But Joel, what do you think of all this unfolding?
I don't know if I believe the whole Faitelson coming out and saying that the interview with Almeida was had been scheduled a week prior. Um, I think they did it on the fly, and I do think it's something Almeida would do because he's done it in the past. Sees an opportunity and takes it. If we remember how he arrived to Chivas, he arrived um, while Chepo was coaching the team. He was running a practice when he came to the club, um, and then because he was from the airport and whatnot, like reporters were asking him, and he said he had no idea, which I don't buy. I don't believe it. Not like he couldn't do a quick Google search. He would have seen that, you know, or even as soon as he landed, pick up any newspaper, he would have seen that Chepo was still there. So I don't put it past him to be like, you know what, because it's been obvious that he's probably like fed up of being in San Jose like that. That project ended up not working out. I think he had good intentions, and it just nothing he did there really worked out. I don't think they even got youth program off the ground, and so I think he's ready to bounce. But he was getting paid top dollar. He was one of the best paid. I think top three in the league. And I also don't buy the whole other thing that he could have left. I don't think there was any offers. I do think he was probably interviewed or got asked about stuff, but I don't think he ever had any legit concrete offers to
Chile.
go elsewhere. Yeah, you really think he wouldn't have done, like, if he had that chance to be like, okay, I could help this team get to the World Cup, and I'm gonna be at the World Cup, like what that would have made done for his career. So I don't buy it that he was like, nah, I'm cool right here in MLS.
It didn't go through because they didn't want to play his release clause.
Yeah, but don't you think he would have, if he wanted it, he would have told San Jose, hey man, like they would. I think they would have worked with him. I don't think they would have kept him against his will.
Yeah, in the end, I guess you just gotta take everything with a grain of salt. But with Mati at San Jose, I can tell you right now that they are fed up with him. The fans just want this to just get it over with. They've been so sick and tired of anytime somebody gets fired in Mexico, or Chivas are going through some drama, or they always I feel like it's lazy journalism. They just throw Mati's name in there. They've been doing it ever since he joined San Jose, and the fans at this point they're just tired of getting their hearts
But
played with.
not just that, not just that, Jaime. I mean, the team hasn't done any better than they have in the past. And I believe last season they failed to make the playoffs. And this season, I don't know if they're in 5 or 6 games without a win.
Oh,
Yes, they're justified then.
let me
They
tell
just
you this. They're on the path to get the wooden spoon. The wooden spoon is something that they got before Matias's arrival. The wooden spoon is basically the shittiest team in the league gets the wooden spoon, and right now they're in last place in the league.
Man,
So that first season, there's no way you can go but up, and I think the fans were happy with him that first season. But yeah, obviously things have plateaued and actually gone backwards.
no,
And
he was playing some pretty good fancy ball, and they were getting some good results. And then they hit that one season where it was like a 4 or 5 game streak where they got scored like over 20 goals.
yeah,
I mean, man, it's like that's crazy that they held on to him. I don't see many coaches that would have survived that. And I think a big part of it was because of his release clause. San Jose probably just didn't have the money, because I think that was like maybe 2 years ago. That's a lot of money. that's that's a lot of wages um, to pay off. But man, to receive that amount of goals, and it's what surprises me with a lot of the Chivarmanos that they're asking for this dude as if he's gonna have you know, as if he's the answer to the problems. And it's like his last 2 seasons at Chivas, and I'm talking about league, he finished 15th and 17th. One of those seasons, he didn't even get a single win at home. Again, I'm talking about league because people would see the results from Copa MX or CONCACAF champions and sort of like that was soften the thing. But if you're just looking at the numbers for league, they were awful, man. They were very bad. Um, and that was his last 2 seasons, 15th and 17th. Um, and then he came to San Jose and the team again. He never was able to lift it up, and they've been finishing around the same, at the kind of lower bottom of the table. And so I think the doblete season gets romanticized a bit too much. I think they forget what happened with Chivas bringing in ringers, man, actual league champions like Guti, who's fallen pretty low, man. I saw that TikTok you posted. It's kind of embarrassing. Um, Guti was champion with Leon. They brought Pizarro, who had been, at the top of his game and champion with Pachuca, Gallito, another at that time really good player. Um, they brought these guys, and then they had Higuera. As much as we hate him, we have to give him credit. He made it possible to bring these guys, and he gambled on Pulido, which was like a 20 million gamble, because this guy was coming from 2 years of 14 games in 2 years, you know, and it was an unknown. He could have been a major dud. He could have been a Peralta, and he ended up being really good for the team and playing a key role in helping. So, but I mean, that's like what 4 players that were at national team level, really top players. Uh, there's nothing like that anymore with Chivas. Oh, and then I can't forget Cota. Cota had been on loan, and that was another, you know, arguably one of the best keepers in the league.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting for Almeida to come back to Chivas, and
he's not he's not having that team though.
Well, here's
everyone
here's the
everyone
thing.
to bow down to him, and then for him to fail, and then see what they do.
I think that
God no,
has anyone ever come back and actually like succeeded after their first time around? I think it's very difficult,
I
right?
I think well, you know what? Chepo, his thing got cut short because when he came back, he took him to the semifinals. So he comes back like mid-season or something. They don't. I don't think they make liguilla, and then the his first full season they do make they make the semifinals, and then after that they cleaned house and they were like concentrating on youth, and it was like a tough calendar, and the reason they got rid of him was because Higuera, you know, he wanted to call the shots, so he got rid of both Nestor and Chepo, man. It was like and that's sort of how um Almeida came in because this dude just wanted them out. The whole results, it's a bunch of bullshit. It really wasn't because if we look at it, they weren't like again, dude. I don't know how fans go, get off on this shit where very similar to how we're talking about Piojo, where it's like we saw what they were capable of, and after 4 or 5 games, the media can convince you that this dude is ass. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on there with fans being so easily persuaded about the reality of things. Which is, I have to give credit to Pumas again for Liliani because they held on to that dude after they had dismantled his team, and they could have easily thrown blame at him, but they held on. They trusted the project, the process, and here they are about to play a final and doing pretty good in the league with despite having a limited squad.
I don't think we should be downplaying Matias' accomplishments. Yeah, Mickey Mouse, Copa Mekis, but at the end of the day, I think it was just the mentality and the camaraderie with everybody. He knew how to get the team on the same page, and they won their first
No,
Champions League final in what since like the '60s. So you know
yeah,
does not discredit what he did at Chivas. I will say though, a second time around, it's a lot grimmer for him, especially because, like you mentioned, it's been a wet fart at San Jose. It's not like he's killing it at his current job, and I think it's a mutual thing. I think Chivas need Mati as bad as Mati needs Chivas right now. I think they're both in a bad place, and I think like they both could benefit from this mutual thing. Um, but I do think that Matias really does care about his image in Mexico. I don't think he cares too much about the MLS. There's a language barrier, whatever. He got his money. He can go. But I think if he does return to Chivas, I think he's not gonna go unless they promise him, hey, like if I'm gonna come back, like these players need to go, these players need to come back, and I need to have like boom, boom, boom refuerzos because there's no way he's gonna just take this team and say, yeah, I'm willing to come back. Like I think that
yeah.
he's gonna have to put like some demands in there, or else he's not gonna do it.
That's
No,
that's a
boy,
good point. That just backs up like what I've been saying this whole time. Like if he comes back, I fully expect him to fail. He can because if he has the same players, but if he demands, like you're saying, for certain players to leave, certain players to come in, for directivas to leave or whatever,
yeah,
then possibly he could have success. But I don't see all those players that he needs to be available for him
yeah.
to get.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult for that to happen again. But just really quick, Jaime, I'm not trying to take credit from him So I do think he's a good coach. And I'm just trying to say his best was when he had this squad of players where they could play the type of football because he's a very offensive minded type coach. And so he had the squad that, best worked for him. So I feel like if he were to come back, he would do better at like a Cruz Azul or Monterrey. I think he would have those teams playing really good. So I think he's that type of coach where he'll do better with players of that caliber. I think when you have a limited squad, I don't think he has shown to get the most out of some of these guys, or if his team is pretty limited, I don't think he's that type of coach. And that's kind of San Jose was kind of like I was using that to see because at least he was getting some players. Look at Vucetic, he got zero players. Not only did he get zero players, they took players away. So I mean,
Yeah.
so we just can't expect that. And I think another thing Chio Hermanos need to keep in mind is that that first batch of players that we talked about, they came in, um, you know, the Pizarros, the Pulidos, Cutis, Gallitos, and
Cota.
then that's when they spend about what 50 million, 60 million, whatever they spent.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't compare to when Pelaez they pay like 40 million or whatnot to bring in Chicote, Antuna, and the guy that was supposed to be the big signing was Guzman, that fell through because of his drug use. And those level players, they just aren't or weren't at. I'll still say they aren't at that level that the other guys were at when they came in. They just but we go with the pricing. It's like with similar price, in the media, the whole media disservice, chivalacticos, and that's just a bunch of smoke up people's ass. It's like that. It's like different time, man. The prices just went up. Inflation in Liga MX, man. This you spending 40 million. It's not. You're not getting what you were getting 5 years back.
Hey, that's a good point because I think Almeida is like a master self
Just
promoter. Like he looks at himself, and he's not gonna want to make himself look bad. He's looking bad in San Jose, but he's gonna want to demand like everything he needs to go to Chivas. Because I see him like Juan Carlos Osorio. He's sort of like he's got that air of superiority, and he comes in, he does well, and then he wants to use Mexico to boost himself up to even like greater things. But he ended up, not doing well, like
Well,
Joel always
yeah,
talked about.
well, you
And
know
he
what?
goes to MLS. Like he ideally he would go to like Europe or some other big club or maybe back to Argentina or something. But he goes to MLS, which is like okay.
Yeah, it's his promoter. I think is Santiago Hirsch, and he's always worked it like that. And even at Chivas, you get these rumors that all these teams wanted him, and that's all it was, like rumors. They never really made an offer for him. At one point, you know that some EPL team wanted him, and that's something that you could do. Just reach out to some reporter and have them put out a story. That happens in football all the time. I was talking about earlier about how they disrupt things like that, and I noticed it with Buse. Right before Chivas got rid of him, all of a sudden there was this whole campaign against him, and I was seeing it everywhere, and I was like, "Damn, dude, what? This is this is messed up." I saw Perro Bermudez in one of the shows saying, "Oh, Chivas already they already came in a deal with Almeida, and I got this on a good authority, and they're just waiting." And I was like, "Dude, really?" And then there was even Jose Ramon, Fútbol Picante. He even took out a column, said, Buse is not the ideal coach for Chivas. And you had all of this while he's on a 5 game undefeated streak, 2 wins, 3 draws, and they're building this whole campaign against him to make him look ass, and it worked because I read all the comments from Chillermanos, and it was just like
Well,
they
I
just
mean,
wanted to call that he's trash and
we weren't winning.
he doesn't belong there.
We weren't losing, but we weren't winning, and we weren't playing
Yeah,
pretty.
but had become the team pretty consistent at least, where he would have them, at least able to qualify.
He wasn't playing Nene Beltran, and I think just the fans were just
No,
not happy with his style. And
but he was playing other players. That's also that they
yeah,
forget.
his
It,
gallo
it, it,
was Chuy Molina, and look at him
no,
now.
but youth as well. He had some. They had Man, I had shared this article that came out, and it talked about the number of players that through his stint that he would
Debuted,
use from.
yeah.
Yeah, debuted in their age under whatever, and how many he would play per game, and it was a good number. As I still think that's one of the goals for the team, to play as much youth. But I mean, we see these things happening all the time, and I do think it gets like it's a way to influence uh, even the teams, and that with Almeida, even when he was at Chivas, you saw like, oh, there's a team from La Liga that wants him, or these national teams. I know Chile and Ecuador were named, and like Chiqui said, he ended up in MLS.
So
And it's like,
yeah,
what happened? What happened with all these offers? They just dried up.
I thought he was expecting, yeah, to get all these teams demanding him, and that wasn't the case. The reality, he was gunning for the national team position, and realistically, I don't think they ever considered him. I do want to bring because we talked about this on Twitter, and it was causing a lot of controversy. But Cheekies, you claim that it doesn't matter if the coach is has won in Liga MX or even has Liga MX experience. It doesn't matter if Chivas bring in a Mexican coach or a foreign coach. Things aren't going to change, and that Chivas should look at bringing in foreigners. Um, we have Ricardo basically saying the same thing, that Chivas should open it up to foreigners. But just want to
No,
know.
I don't think Chivas. Well, like for me, I don't mind that Chivas is all Mexican. That's sort of like that's cool. It's a Mexican pride type of thing. I'm just stating the fact that they're limiting their pool of players that they can select, whereas other teams don't have that limitation. So Chivas is at a disadvantage. Now with the coaches, and that's a fact. But with the coaches, um, this dude Jair from Twitter was saying that like who he asked me who's the coach in a Mexican coach who's got the credentials, the pedigree, and the qualifications to coach Chivas and do well there. And I didn't answer his question because, I mean, initially I didn't. I then later answered his question. Initially, I was like, my whole point wasn't that. It was that it doesn't matter if you bring in a Pep, a European coach, an Argentinian coach, a Brazilian coach, whatever coach you bring in with the players they have now, they're still not going to do, any better because the coach isn't there scoring goals. So sure, I can later answer and say, yeah, there is no Mexican coach that has the requirements that this guy was asking for. But that's totally irrelevant because no other coach that does have the requirements isn't going to come in and like win a title next season or this season or possibly even in 2 seasons. So it doesn't even matter. But it's all about the players. They need to get better players. They're limited. It's harder for them because maybe a Pachuca isn't going to give up Guzman or Ochoa is never going to leave America, or there's certain Mexican players that Chivas isn't going to be able to get, and they're only limited to Mexican players. Chivas has the bottom of the barrel Mexican players. Yeah, like maybe at certain points, Chivas, like with Almeida, Chivas had like the top of the barrel players, or like a majority of them. But
Yeah,
now it's not.
they were the Grupo Pachuca players
Yeah,
that Higuera negotiated with Grupo Pachuca, and a big part of that was um, they were going to be voting for TV rights for the national team. And so that was a whole thing there where it ended up with Televisa just, they brought down the banhammer, man. I don't know if you guys remember, they started doing an expose on Pachuca and how the government was like not taxing them, and that was costing the people money, and how they would like pay off certain like government officials, that it's like money that should be going to the city, so they could like build more stuff, schools,
mhm,
hospitals, whatnot, and it's sort of like being pocketed by you know.
yeah. That came onto the scene for a bit, and then it just sort of disappeared.
Well,
But
then
anyway,
that was part of the whole TV thing, and then Pachuca was like, oh, they sort of like backed out, and same thing happened to Chivas. I don't know if you remember, but they had to they had to go back to TV. Remember, they were trying to be streaming only, and then Chivas had to be like, and they did it for free. You could look up. They had to go and uh, I don't know which is the channel in Mexico. Is it Televisa? TUDN, is it? Is it TUDN as well? Their cable channel. Um, but they put them on their cable channel. I mean, to this day, they still have rights to them. So I think that's one of the things that I want to talk about later. But these are some of the politics stuff that happened. And then what happened a little bit after that? Chivas got rid of all the group of Pachuca players. Pretty much got taken out.
Yeah.
yeah. So that
Cota returned. Pizarro had to be sold. Guti, Lates, everyone, dude.
Aris.
Gallit,
Yeah. I feel like they just
that was
brought
my
that
whole.
team on loan. Like they didn't actually have that money. They're like, all right, here we go. Let's bring everybody
yeah,
in.
that is a big possibility.
So that was my whole point. And I don't know, this guy was like got re-raged out. He started like he resorted to insults and started like hating on Monterrey because apparently I'm from Monterrey. But yeah, so like you don't have an argument, then you resort to insults. But that was pretty much it. And then on the other, because this was Chivas del Norte account initially asked a question, and this is sort of a side note related to it, which Ron would need to address, was the idea of, does a coach need to know the Mexican league and Mexican, I guess, politics, the inside guts of how Mexican football works? And Ron sort of agrees with that a little bit, and other people don't. Um, and that's like a different argument that I don't really have a say in. I just listen to it, but yeah, that was some entertainment.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
Ricardo has like
He's going off, man.
yeah, he's got this point about like the raw talent. I I think, well, I don't want to. This is just coming off the top of my head. I think Chivas does go after like meritocracy, like they try to get the best Mexican players, but they just had like some bad luck with immature, maybe newer generation entitled type of players. When they get fame, when they get money, they start acting a fool. And we've seen stuff with like Chivas, like trophies or whoever, like partying and
Yeah.
doing stuff.
Disciplinary issues.
Yeah, and I don't think
Yeah.
Chivas like is going after like just people that love Mexican or love Chivas, like have heart or whatever. They're going after players, but the players are just turning out to be like partiers and stuff.
Well, it's just surprising, for one thing that I found that was very like oxymoron of Pelas is, he signed all these players, but he also made them sign like a pact, like, moving forward, we're going to talk about silverware. We're not going to talk about relegation, and we're going to sign like this contract that you're going to be on your best behavior. Um, but had he not done any research beforehand, because Chicote, Canelo, those guys in Necaxa were already had a reputation for partying and not taking training that serious. Canelo had Chicote on his podcast, and he was saying how he would show up to training like hungover or still drunk. And I mean, I feel like if you're the president and you're trying to bring in players, like, shouldn't you already know this stuff? Like, I don't understand. Same thing with Victor Guzman. I think it was the elephant in the room. Everybody knew that he had a abuse problem, and it's like, I don't know. I don't understand why he decided to go after these players and then expect them to be basically altar boys, when they have a reputation for not having discipline.
I
I think
think part of it is lack of options. There just isn't
yeah,
that many players to choose from, and big reason why they did that contract, and they did get rid of like four players, five on one swoop, and they still had some problems after that. Which at that point you probably can end up with no squad, no team at all. Um, and that's another thing where I do feel there's like it's probably promoters, like getting involved with this with with Guzman. I I don't think they knew how serious it was, and Pachuca had hidden the fact that he had tested positive, so they were under the impression that he had been getting tested and he had been doing good. And then when it came out that he had tested positive, that's when they had to return him because there was a possibility that he was going to be suspended for 2 years.
Damn.
So if you were suspended, she was going to pay over 10 million and then paying wages for a player just to be at home for something he did at another club. And so that sucked that just how all of that played out because I do feel Chivas could have used that guy. And I know he was happy to be back at the team. And all of that sucked, dude. And it seemed like it was probably ambushed, dude. Because think about it, man. As soon as he shows up, man, he's like right training. This info just pops up out of nowhere. And I
Yeah,
do think,
it's like
you know,
it's like when John Gruden came back after what 10 years to coach the Raiders, and then all those emails start coming out. As soon as they start winning, it's like, you guys were sitting on this blackmail for
yeah,
for years, and now you're gonna come out with it. Like, come on.
yeah, I do feel there was something there, man. I gato encerrado, not Chiquis, 'cause he's right here. But I do think there's something going on where it's like Chivas has been getting attacked at 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 that point where it's like they have a difficulty buying players, difficulty selling players, and then players that come in sort of like they get sabotaged right away. And I know part of it is TV deal. They haven't been able to get a TV deal. In Mexico, they have five, and people think that, oh, well, that's a good thing. No, it's not. It means less money. You want to be exclusive. Think about it if it's a think about it as your bride, right? Would you want her to have five boyfriends or just you? Obviously, it's just you, man. You're not gonna go up there with there's four other dudes at the altar. But that's kind of like we're like because that means it's shared. You have to share the views. So, for example, Chivas in Mexico, when they were on open air TV, 11 million. That was their rating. 11 million people would see a Chiva game on open air TV. Now now they're like across the different cable channels. That means less people because not everyone in Mex is gonna have cable TV, and then not everyone's gonna have the same, you know,
Provider
cable, yeah, provider or package.
or
So some
internet.
might have, yeah, some might have TUDN or on the, they're telling you they're like in 5 stations, and so now it's divided between the. So what they need is an exclusive deal. They haven't been able to get it, and I know some of their deals are gonna end. I think they end at the end of this year. Um, I know the one with Claro ends, and I don't know with, and that's why there's this talk about TV Azteca possibly signing them, and that's where those rumors came out that they would send Larcamon to Chivas as part of the, like, hey, sign with us and we'll hook you up with. Which I do think they can hook him up because they have connection with Puebla and then they have connection with Atlas. And it's like people be like, well, we don't want to. You don't need to have the, doesn't have to be a player that's currently Atlas. It could be a player that Atlas owns. He's probably playing in another team, or sometimes they do the, like a treque. We'll send this guy over there, and you send this guy to Chivas, stuff like that. And so, we'll see what happens there with the TV. In the US they have the deal with Telemundo, but it's like a yearly deal. I don't think they had signed one like they had in the past when there was like a 5 year deal worth like something like 80 million, I think it was. But I don't think they have that now. I think it's like kind of year by year basis.
We'll see what happens with the TV deal. I know that with here, at least in the states, it's through NBC, through Telemundo and NBC Universo,
Yeah,
and they also have the rights to the World Cup. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Guadalajara. What we can promise you is the drama will continue to unveil maybe as soon as tomorrow. The rumor is that San Jose is parting ways with Matias Almeida, and it just seems like everything's lined up for him to return. But we shall see. Realistically, who do you think Chivas can sign right now? Is it going to be an ex player? Is it going to be uh, the coach that they currently have, that intern for Tapatio, or do you think they're actually going to spend the big bucks to bring in a Biesla?
no, Bielsa wouldn't when it comes to Chivas. I would prefer if they just leave the interino until the end of the season, and then there's a few candidates, but I don't know like who would really want to come to Chivas, given they don't even let you finish a season. That was also my gripe with Buse. They should, I mean, at least let them finish it. You had already extended it, and to not let them, it's what coach wants that. You know what I mean? What coach wants to come to the team and you just end up looking bad.
I want to know, like, with a straight face, like, who goes to that interview and says, why is this job open? Like, why are you guys hiring? Oh, it's because we fired our last coach. Like, wait, but I thought you had backed him a week ago and extended his contract. Yeah, we don't talk about that. So I just feel like it's a career suicide to coach Chivas and to coach La Selección Mexicana. It's like there's little to gain from it, and there's just so much to lose. Like it's career suicide.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look at Matias because if things start going bad for him, the media's gonna start pulling out his record at San Jose, and then they're just gonna pile it on. They're gonna pile on the misery. That's what they always do. Right now, they're buttering up his ass and making it seem like the best thing, but they're just selling him for whatever reason.
You
They're
know,
selling him to the fans, and everyone's buying into it like right away.
they're gassing him up. You know, they're Mati and this and that, and would it be nice if he were to return and they're like, all right, did he fall for it? He's gonna go for it. All right, let's destroy him. Like,
Well, and that's the other thing because it's like usually if you come in, then you're gonna say, okay, give me this, give me a 2 or 3 year deal because then that way if they sack you, you know you have something to fall back on. Uh, and with some of these guys, they were coming in on short term, as was Tena and even Buse. Like they just had like the yearly contract.
yeah, I think was it Busa that requested that, or was that Chivas? I, I think,
Buse said he requested it,
yeah,
so I don't really know. I don't know if you know it could be the club too. I mean, because it's a club that at one point was paying for up to 3 coaches because they kept firing people that would have like 2 year deals or whatnot, and so they're still paying wages for people that aren't there.
yeah. Ricardo feels confident that America has returned. They've awakened the giants. The power of Televisa and Ascagarra will prevail. I can already smell the 14th trophy. I wish I had your confidence, Ricardo. But we do have a double jornada with Liga MX. Match day 15 starts as early as Tuesday with 5 matches. Pachuca Puebla, Necaxa Tigres, Mazatlán Santos, Chivas Tijuana, and Toluca Juarez. That's all happening on Tuesday. And then you have San Luis Pumas, América León, Rayados Atlas, Gallos Cruz Azul the very next day. So we get a little midweek action, and then match week 16 will kick off on that Friday. So we're kind of be blessed by the gods, and Chivas, or not Chivas, but if I'm not mistaken, La Selección Mexicana have a partido molero against Guatemala, don't they?
That's right, they do.
Yeah, they do.
That's Tena. Is that Tena's debut? I don't know if they played.
I'm not sure, but they are going to play Guatemala on the 27th, if I'm not mistaken. There's also Guatemala's also hosting a match here in San Jose against El Salvador. I think that might be this weekend. I could be wrong. April 24th, yeah. A week from now.
1 week. There we go.
Well, everyone on the YouTube chat, thank you guys for hopping on. Marseille, again, thanks for the sound check. Ricardo, obviously, always happy to speak his mind here. Do we have any closing thoughts? Starting with Cheekies. You still there?
Yeah. No, I'm just excited to see the Pumas. To see how that results, the Concachafa. See if they can get that title.
I will
So
say,
that'll be interesting. That's in 2 weeks, I believe, right?
yeah, it'll be not this week, but the week after. We'll start to see that go down. And I'll be honest, man. With Pumas, they've been scrappy. They've shown grit, and you know, they've been entertaining to watch. So for selfish reasons, I want them to win just because I can't stand Seattle and the MLS. And it's just such a great, you know, it's the gift that keeps going every single year. But I think most people will support Pumas in this final. The first leg will be on Wednesday, April 27th at 7:30. But glad to have you back, Chiquis. Joel, you got any closing thoughts?
Yes, my conspiracy. I do feel there's he was under attack. I think it's probably promoters. There's three main ones in Mex. Uh, Guillermo Lara, Craig Taylor, and Jesus, I'm forgetting the third one. It was the one that was linked to Tena, Boy, and Cardoxo. Carlos Hurtado, there you go. Carlos Hurtado was even that, you know, when Tena took over, the media was on him already saying, aren't you working for this guy? Aren't you working for, you know? And he said, you know, he was honest about it. And then there was a picture that got leaked where they're having like dinner. Boy Cardoxo and Tena, the three of them. And so even like you gotta see the way Tena left, you know, even that was sus. He had team in fifth place before the tournament got suspended. He takes him to the Copa por Mexico final. He misses 3 games due to COVID, and his first game back gets sacked. But we have to wonder, like, I don't think it was because of the results. I don't know what was going on. Obviously, we're not gonna know. So I do feel that there was something there. Um, Same with what happened with Guzman, you know, and then like how the media attacked Buse, and then they went after Amauri. If you remember, Amauri had to come up and say, "Hey, I'm not going anywhere,"
I'm not selling the team to
because
Canelo.
remember they were saying all these things about he's gonna get replaced or this guy might replace him, and it was just media rumors. Like, and so you got to say, well, why, you know, why are the media coming up with this BS? And it's not just to disrupt. It's just disruptive. It's just to, you know, create uncertainty in the club and players and whatnot. It's just a lot of negative stuff going on. Even with players, when we start thinking back, all these players that ended up getting charges for like sort of like rape and whatnot, and then they were all dropped. That's too many players, man, and a lot of these weren't serious stuff. So it's like, dude, these guys are just getting set up, you know, and so I do kind of have to wonder what the hell is going on, man. I do feel that, and you know, you got to see with the club. It's like, are they pushing for Amali to sell it? That could be another one of the reasons. They want him to sell the team, and so you know you got to see who has interest in that. And I hate to mention this, but Club de Cuervo, because that series is based on a lot of the stuff that happens in Mex soccer. It's a lot of those stories. Pretty much the majority of them they're all based on incidents that have happened. And if you guys saw the series, you would see how the brother and sister would sabotage the team because they were fighting for control, and they would leak photos of the players and or of each other and whatnot, and that's you kind of seen that happen with Chivas, you know, and I forgot I had one last point and it just flew right out of me. Um, but yeah, I do feel there's something nefarious going on, man. Goats being attacked here, man. They already moved on to Pelaez. There's already a strong campaign to boot him out. And you know, if you want him out, cool. But just keep in mind who comes in and who they're tied to. As the saying goes, follow them, follow the money, follow the paper trail. We could get a good idea of who wants what. I know there's you know, people tied to people tied to Amaury's family. I know some of them want to sell the team. We know Angelica tried selling it back when she was in charge, and we had the rumors of Carlos Slim, that he might buy the team. And she's still involved in a way because she has like a lawsuit because she's trying to get her daughters that are. She had two daughters with Vergara, and she's trying to get them like on the a piece of the pie. Because I don't think he put them on the will. I don't think he put them for the club. I know he left them stuff, but not because he knew the mom was gonna use them because they're underage. So I think she's trying to get that, and obviously she will come up if if they sell the team. So that could be a possibility, man, where they're just trying to force a sale, force this to so that someone else comes in and takes over.
We have Ricardo just absolutely roasting you in the comments, saying
Oh,
Joel has a tinfoil hat and
idea,
full body aluminum suit with these bad takes. Joel.
bad taste. Hey, I no. Look, they're not bad takes. A lot of them are the Carlos Slim. It was tied to the. He was tied to buying it. You could Google that stuff. We could Google how when there was news coming out that a cuñado, Bolivian cuñado of Amari was gonna be the new president because the board was gonna like remove him. Um, a lot of this stuff, the picture with the three, with Cardoxo, Tena, and Boy, that's out there. You could find it. They're eating. A lot of the stuff that I'm mentioning, that stuff did happen, man. I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to link it. Like the dude that has the board and he's putting the strings. That's, I'm just trying to put this piece of the puzzle together, man.
Joel Alex Jones, Joel
Oh,
Jesse Ventura, Joel Joe Rogan.
damn.
Ricardo's just having fun over there. Three King
Dang.
says, those aren't the points you were thinking of, Joel. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But I will say though,
It does sound. It does
yeah,
sound crazy, man. But it's actually things that are going on. We forget some of them, but I mean, they're still
yeah,
there. They're still.
Exhibit A, and this one's quite obvious. Gudiño, not not wanting to get paid more, and he's on an expiring contract, and coincidentally, he's no longer in the starting lineup. Wacho Jimenez has taken over his starting spots without any clear explanation. So yeah, I mean that's pretty obvious that they're icing him, they're forcing him to sign the new deal, and refusing to pay him more. So you get to sit on the pine. As far as the Alexis Vega incident, Beto, I almost forgot to mention why he went after that guy's throat. If you guys don't remember, the under 23 Mexico team that was going to go to the Olympics had a friendly against Cruz Azul, and that same player injured him, and he was out for like 4 to 6 weeks. So they had previous beef, and Alexis Vega just didn't like the way he tackled him, and that's why he went for the choke, the Wayne Brady choke. And
Not tonight, 210.
yeah, dude, because I mean, think about it. That's your future. That's your, especially now that he's also on an expiring contract. He's looking to get out of Chivas. He's looking to go to Europe or maybe Rayados or whatever. And you take him out and he gets injured, and there goes your future. So it's like that kid from was it Friday Night Lights, the booby? His name was like Booby. He was like the star player, the running back. He was gonna get all these like deals for college, and then he ends up getting a career injury, like a fatal injury. So I get it. You know, if you're Alexis Vega, you're trying to protect yourself, and you shouldn't have to go in like that on a tackle that really had no. There was no need. You know, it wasn't a game threatening opportunity. It was in the midfield. It was by the sideline. It was just completely unnecessary. But Ricardo says Alexis Booby Vega. Yeah, exactly. But we're past the point here. It's been almost 2 hours. Want to thank everyone for hopping on tonight. Welcome back, Chiquis. And of course, you guys on the YouTube comments, thank you as always. Catch us on Twitter. Sometimes we have a spontaneous, impromptu Twitter Spaces conversation. And yeah, we always like to involve you guys, the listeners. We always like to collaborate, hear from you guys. So we appreciate you guys so much. And we'll catch you in the next one. Cool.